Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I was here last year and I talked about Gen AI, the moment we lived at that time. We had a great discussion about models, about visions, and what we saw as input by text, by voice. And it's incredible to be here after a year. Gen AI is already consolidated. You know how to talk about it. You know the path to take. And now we're talking about Agentic AI. I'll try to sum up in 30 minutes the entire evolution that was brought by Agentic AI. Let's start with a recap. We saw an evolution in traditional AI and in Gen AI, and we saw significant advance in how companies understand why agentic AI need to be part of our day-to-day work. Now, these agents are executing, and depending on the industry you're working in, this is how you can deliver results to end consumers. We have productivity, we have many benefits from it. IBM carried out a research and saw that 85% of companies use agentic AI or will use by the end of this year. If your company is not part of this, people, maybe your competitor is already doing that, is already advancing in that sense. And for us to start how this takes place, it's important to understand why agentic AI have this practical importance to facilitate things. A lot of things that we've been experiencing in the world of technology has to do with apps, traditional systems, legacy systems, innovative systems, but all of them have graph interface. So we need to work on automation. There's someone executing them. And when we look into the future, the more apps we have, the more complexity we will have. So why do these agents present a different reality to us? Because they will make front end now become back end. If you need to navigate and let's say 6 different systems to input something, it's much easier if I ask a question to an assistant, like the one you can see on the screen, and see the results. So in this first moment, we see that there is a division. Everything that used to be front end will be now back end, and we'll have another conversational interface, the agentic AIs, to progress faster. And our operational efficiency and productivity will increase. This is natural because you do not need to navigate on the screen. You do not have to take 5 actions to execute a comment. You will save time. You will have efficiency. I imagine that all of you go on vacation, right? Some time off. In your company, you need to get into a system to add the time you'll be away. You have an entire step-by-step to do this. Wouldn't it be easier to just tell the agentic AI that you want to go on vacation from one day to another date, and that's it? So if this is a simple example, but this is what agentic AIs work on. When we talk about this new moment, maybe it's the first time that there's a paradigm shift. Now it's easier to generate content than to read and understand. If you have any kind of agentic AI and you ask them questions, the response will be delivered very easy. You can ask them to summarize things and it will be very fast. So it's the first time we see that content delivery is much faster than reading, understanding, and getting to a conclusion. This is an evolution because in the past, when we looked at these parameters, we had RP database, we had to catalog all of our clients, Then we had to evolve these clients into the mobile world. We had to bring their information to the mobile world. And this last wave was about Power BI, analytics, dashboard. We had to create it all. And nowadays, you can ask questions to an agentic AI, and they can summarize the last 20 years of your company and make forecasts about the future. This is the inflection point, and this will create a new execution journey where you will be able to extract value from the way we operate and work. We're going through this AI evolution. Our market is very robust, especially the financial market, and it's easy for us to see these waves of evolution. You can ask questions to Gen AI. This is great, but when we bring Gen AI and agentic AI, I'm sure that nobody wants to have any bias issues or drift issues because we Brazilians are very creative. If we have any problems like that, you can get a print screen and put it on the internet. We need to have responsible AI. We need to know how the agentic AI was trained, what data they have executed. I need to be sure that the results will be the results of paths that I know of. And this brings another concern. If I use AI in the core of my company, costs management is a second concern. If we talk about FinOps for clouds or AI, the use of models is great. Gen AI is great. You can create many, many tokens. We have very high numbers of assertiveness. But behind all of that, we have tokens that are paid with cents. Gen AI is great, but it might be too expensive. So is it worth it for us to have an LLM model, for example, to have more accuracy in our results? In our market, we might think, well, maybe the generic is good for one public and the specialized is good for another public. So it's time to scale our AI. We're living that moment now. We already know how they work. I know how we've been evolving. We already understood that maybe the generic AI does not apply to my company, and now it's time to scale, to develop them and bring them to an enterprise use. I like this chart here. Because it shows us this evolution cycle. 10 years ago, we used to talk to chatbots. Do you remember them? We had a decision tree, go there, take this path, the other one. This it still applies to some specific niches because I may have a Q&A, and this would be the cheapest and most practical way to work. This works, and some companies use them. But when we talk about Gen AI, hyper-personalization response and analysis gives you more content creation. So this difference between conversational and creation makes sense. But in this equation, someone was missing, the agentic AI. If I want to go on vacation, take some time off, I have these records on the system that says you can be away for this number of days, but we want to execute these days. And now this is the responsibility of agentic AIs. Looking at these agents, we know that we will have zillions of agents available. I'll show you how to create them, how to use them in a very practical way. But to make this magic happen, there's something very important. There's something that is behind them. It's very important to prepare them. And this preparation comes from data. So for 15, 20 years, we told the market, make sure you store your data, have a warehouse, bring this information. Well, now it's time to put this information into practice, to use them. If we look at the models we have in the market nowadays, all data came from the internet. For example, data that is on they come from Wikipedia, and total data that is available on the internet is already part of GPT, Gemini, and other AI. So what will make your company stand out? Your data, the data that is related to your company. This is what allows you to come up with hyper personalization, so you know the user, who are they, how they behave, and that's how you can take advantage of AI. That's why I brought you some provocation here. Less than 1% of enterprise data are included in AI models and agents, less than 1%. So it shows that we have 99% of opportunity, but the real value of this personalization is in our hands, and we need to work on that. I brought you a macro chart here. I don't know if you like this, but this is a design of a traditional data architecture. From left to right, you see the source, how data is added. Then we have the warehouse, the area where the data is stored, and then the consumption. This is a picture of a few years ago. Consumption was 1-to-1, just specific uses. I didn't need to scale it like we need nowadays with agentic AIs. And we see that companies are not concentrated on a specific model or source. We know that to store your data, for example, on Drive or Box, and the infrastructure of banking needs to be improved. Now we'll have silver, gold, everything working really well. And the output there, it's now in this box called Agentic AI. This Agentic AI allows all of this data to be used at another level. If we look at this evolution cycle, especially in banks, well, in your company, you do not have one bank only. You have many banks. You have a data lake. You have a lot of data available. And my question is, how do you monetize them? How do you know what data needs to be prioritized? What kind of data is the best one to be used by agentic AIs? In this picture here, as a whole, is that first we need a layer of fast queries where AR functions can be accelerated. We talk about fine-tuning, for example. How can I deliver you capacity so that this process can be swifter? And we also need another layer where data barriers allow us to consult them efficiently, fast, without changing any costs in our IT structure. Is it clear? So this evolution is happening. For us to get to agentic AIs, we need to pay attention to the prior stages, because we need to make sure that agentic AIs results are based on the best information that we have available. This data that has been enriched by our company in the past 20 years. When we talk about data and agentic AI, we understand this world. So let's go back to agentic AI. They will work just like us, based on feedbacks, positive and negative. They will learn I mean, if they get a good answer, you can give a thumbs up. If they work 24/7, if they need to research, execute, and find something, they will do the actions that you ask them to do. When we put all of this in an agentic AI repository, this is wonderful. You will be able to automate many things to deliver results, regardless of what you're executing. Your agents will always be working for you. And like I said in the beginning of my presentation, I believe that the use of agentic AIs will be used exponentially at a quantic rate. You will have a zillion agentic AIs orchestrating and executing. At IBM, we believe that you can create your own agentic AIs, or you can use Oracle's, Microsoft, Google's, and they need to be permeated in this system. If you leave all of these agentic AIs loose without orchestration and governance, this might become a problem because they'll be just executing without communicating among themselves, and we will have some issues that will be a problem in our work. So we launched Watson Orchestrate. This is a layer where we deliver governance, replication, orchestration of all agentic AI. We did this, we broke this into 4 parts. Just a minute, I'm trying to show you the next screen. Oh, it's working now. So we broke it into 4 parts so that you can understand the level of abstraction and how you will be able to use agentic AIs. From 1 to 4, well, number 1, we already have pre-built agentic AIs. I was talking about this vacation example that are agentic AIs that understand the entire cycle of human resources. We have other agents that are focused on the legal area. Some of them are focused on sales. So it's not necessary to recreate them all.
So how am I going to show this? And definitely you're going to create this at a second point. And we had a low code, pro code. There's everything that you want according to different tastes. And you can create an agent in 5 minutes. And then you integrate the orchestra and everything else. Orchestration and governance for everything to work from end to end. So let's look at the first one over here. We have the pre-constructed agents to check what we did. So first of all, we looked at the whole catalog available for agents. So inside the tools we have, it's the AG catalog. So for human resources, sales, they're all going to be inserted literally for you to take advantage of. So you have Salesforce, you have some CRM, ERP, and this is all available in the platform so that you can use it. And this is a concern that IBM had because when you talk about the ecosystem, we know it's very diverse. And because it's very diverse, you're going to want to place Slack or something from Amazon or download something at that moment. So the agents have to be available for you to be able to take advantage of it in a more practical sense. So accessing this platform, I customize it with my data and I put it in the productive mode. And what we noticed as well, when the cycle evolves, the network of the ecosystem increases. So if anybody is interested here, you can be part of the cycle of agents inside the IBM platform. So we have some examples, MasterCard, ServiceNow, and Altaleves. So you can publish your agent so that other companies will take advantage of the result using this IBM platform. So it is the possibility of opening so that you can use any agent or the main part, the management, governance, orchestration, everything is inside what I'm going to show here. So I'm going to deliver these agents, I customize, I use it, and then we're going to have you're going to come to the point where you want to create your agent. So the public can be different, right? You can have developers, analysts, directors, and the creation of agents can happen in several ways. So first of all, we can have the creation of agents that we call no-code agents, and that's why we talked about the agent builder, where I go in there and everything that is on the graphic interface, I can actually use this agent in a practical sense. And then we have the low code. Low code is already where you have a little bit of code, but you have management at hand, and then IBM acquired DaxText. I don't know if you know this company, but the main product DaxText has is Landflow, which is what you're seeing here. Let me try and show the video over here. It is the creation integration of AI agents in an easy, practical way, but at a more low-code layer. So what you see over here is the practical part, and you have the creation of an agent integrated in the platform, probably looking for something in a bank and using all of the resources, and this is in the hands of those who want to do an AI agent, make an AI agent work in practice. And for those who like it, if you like development, then you have the whole issue of development, and that's all available to the whole toolkit. So if you like developing, literally, this is a possibility. And of course, everything that we talk about in terms of the development of agents, there's already a semi-defined pattern in the market, which is the one of protocols. So we already find a very strong discussion about it. If the communication of these agents is alternative, if everybody has to define their own, or if it has to be standard. So MCP is standard created by Philanthropic about 9 months ago, about a year, and it's already inserted in the tools. So all the creation of agents that you want to use this kind of protocol in, then it's there ready for you to use. All right? So this gives you the context of what we talked about in terms of creation of agents. And then we move to the orchestration and governance. As I showed in the first slide, the level of trends in the use of AI is going to become huge. So if we don't have an operational way of being able to understand where the user comes in, whatever channel they're using, Slack, WhatsApp, telephone, and if I'm not able to do the orchestration of the whole thing, regardless of the companies involved, that's where the challenge lies. So imagine that you are using IBF and Slack in your company, IBM, SAP, ADP. So imagine all of these agents working independently from your company. So your supplier went there, your employee went there asking about holidays. And then he wants to know how you can deliver a PO in SAP. And it's going to answer because there's going to be another side agent that will know the answer. And then at the same time, okay, now I want to consult some automation to be able to deliver a result. So notice that we over here as human beings, we're multitaskers, right? We are multitasking. Multitaskers. We can, talk to a person, send an email, answer a phone, and then we get to the agent. And the point is that for all of this to work out the way we want it to, we need an orchestration standard, because when we don't orchestrate it, imagine all of these agents working independently, autonomously, without somebody saying, no, go move over to the right, move over to the left, use the space, access this data, this system, don't use this data. And in this orchestration phase, the volume becomes huge. The understanding is huge. And this is a project that we executed. I just took away the data about the customer, but basically it's through Microsoft. And then it goes into an orchestration layer, and then you go into the Salesforce agents from Microsoft, from IBM, the pre-building that we talked about. So it's the world of agents, which is definitely connected to the general ecosystem of the big techs. And when we conclude this part about orchestration, the next question is, how we see this working. So how do I know? How do I know that we made a decision? How do I know where it's going? There are no secrets. If you don't have any monitoring or any login, I remember my technical career 15 years ago. If you don't have a log, you don't have the tracing, it's very difficult to see how the decision was made. So talking about AI and DevOps, it's necessary. You want to know what agent made the decision. You need to open up the door and take a look, and there's a word called explainability at the tip of your tongue to know how all of this was done. And you can't have zillions of AI agents without having somebody that says, no, he made that decision because he consulted this basis, he went to this address, he used this resource, he used this data, and that's why this decision was made. So when we talk about an ops agent, it's everything that is happening in the back end, and it works to provide information, resources, capacity for decision making. And the interesting point here is, which is different from LLM, it's different from the agent, and it's different from the protection it's using. This is where you're going to dedicate resources, capacity, functioning, and execution to be able to understand everything the agent did and what comes before these 3 steps that I talked about. Is that clear? So I am now going to go to my last slide so that we can conclude about the AI agents that we talked about here. So the first step, there is no way of using AI agents if the data is not calibrated. So if you want to go into the same circus as your competitor, the use of AI agents and LLM, that's what I said. Everybody uses the same one. The differential aspect is in your hands. So with IBM, I collaborate, I help, and together with you, but the differential aspect is here. When you get the data, you customize the agents, and you go into the success zone, and that's where the secret lies. So pay attention to the data layer. Number 2, as we evolve, the architecture standard becomes more important. And in terms of the evolution cycle, we cannot set aside the architecture. Either it's very old, or if it's moving on to the new one, this has to be sequential and orchestrated to be able to deliver a result that is as scalable as possible in the hands of the AI agents. So over here, once again, we have architecture, which is something to be worked on, 4 hands, but the definition of the best delivery, SLA, and how everybody's going to answer, that's already 4 hands once again. And the last item, always think about an enterprise approach. So I'm not here to talk about go into a prompt, ask a question, and look how beautiful, there's an answer. No, I'm here because we are concerned with the business, with the enterprise model that each company has, especially in the banking sector, which is where we are inserted. So this narrative about the agent, orchestration, governance, everything that's going to happen, 100% sure that when we scale it up, it's going to work in an orchestrated fashion. Thank you once again for your participation, for joining us, and I'm here all day if you want to talk to me. Thank you.